Wish you a very good morning, everybody. So, we are in chapter 1, Reproduction in Organisms. In our previous video presentation, we have completed the type of reproduction or the mode of reproduction in that asexual reproduction. Today, I would like to discuss the important topic in our biology textbook, chapter 1, Sexual Reproduction. Now, sexual reproduction mostly will talk about the plants and different things related to the sexual reproduction. So, for that, I will utilize the NCERT textbook and some important notes for this chapter. So, here we will quickly revise our chapter Reproduction in Organism. First of all, the definition of reproduction we already have discussed. So, in that, reproduction is a biological process of formation of new offsprings from the pre-existing organism, and lifespan, the period from birth to the natural death of an organism, represents its lifespan. So, lifespans can be asked. So, this chapter is very crucial for your coming exam, that is evolution 2. So, this chapter will be asked in your evolution 2. So, we have to be careful. Now, types of reproduction, as we have discussed, two types of reproduction, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction, and how we can distinguish asexual reproduction when the offspring is produced by single parents with or without the involvement of gamete formation, and the reproduction method is known as asexual reproduction. Now, sexual reproduction, that we will discuss when two parents which are opposite sex participates in the reproduction process and also involves the fusion of male and female gametes, and that is called sexual reproduction. So, biggest difference in asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction is the involvement of gametes. Now, asexual reproduction, so in that mostly they are producing the single parent with the involvement or without the involvement of gamete formation, and they are forming the clones, and the main process, that is a cell division, binary fission, budding, that all things we have discussed. Vegetative part of the different part of the plants, that also we have seen. Water hygiene, that is a terror bengal, in that it is an additional for you. So, it is the most of the invasive weeds, and asexual reproduction is the most common method for the reproduction in the organism having the simple body like in algae and fungi, but during unfavorable condition they shift to the sexual reproduction. So, now our topic is sexual reproduction. Now, here the definition itself indicates it involves the formation of male and the female gamete by the two individuals of the opposite sex. The offspring produced by fusion of male and female gametes not identical to each other or to the parents, and all sexually reproducing organisms share in the similar pattern of reproduction, because here mostly the offspring which are produced by sexual reproduction 100% identical to each other or to their parents. So, here in the sexual reproduction, the fusion of male and the female gamete results in the offsprings that are not identical to the parents. So, here they are not identical to parents means somewhat they are differ. So, because there is a diffusion process, there is a fusion process in the sexual reproduction. Now, here what we will discuss according to the textbook, the different phases in the sexual reproduction. First is a juvenile phase. Now, juvenile phase is a period between birth and the sexual maturity, is called the juvenile phase. In plants, it is known as a vegetative phase. The end of the juvenile or vegetative phase marks the beginning of the reproductive phase. So, it is the first stage of the sexual reproduction, that is a juvenile phase, and we consider that phase as a vegetative phase also. Now reproductive phase, some plants show flowering in particular season and some other plants in all seasons. So you have been noticed that somewhere we will see the different flowers in a particular season, and somewhere you will see every seasons the flowers will grow. So it is according to the particular season, and some other plants like bamboo species flowers once in lifetime, so about 50 to 100 years, and Strobilanthus canthenia, that is a Nilankuranji, flowers once in 12 years. So that also you have to remember. Another plant, that is the Strobilanthus canthenia, that is we can say that canthenia and Nilankuranji, flowers once in a 12 years the flower will produce. So we can say that as many of you know, this plant flowered during September to October 2016. So last it was in 2016. That is, you will remember, it can be asked in MCQ. Name the plant which can give the flowers once in 12 years. So that is a Strobilanthus canthenia, that is a Nilankuranji. So that you will remember. And the female placental animals exhibit cyclic change in activities, ovaries and accessory glands, as well as hormone during the reproductive phases. That we will discuss in the male and female reproductive organs, reproduction. In the plants also we will discuss, even the animals also we will discuss what type of reproductive phases are there, what type of hormones they are secreting, and what type of changes you will observe at the age of sexuality maturity. Now here it's a menstrual cycle. So here when we discuss about the menstrual cycle, it occurs in monkeys, apes and human beings. And cycle consists of 3 phases: menstrual, proliferative and secretory phase. The menstrual cycle consists 3 phases: menstrual, proliferative and secretory phase. Now blood flows in the last few days of the cycle, and the broken endometrium is passed out during the menstruation. This process commonly all know about it, menstrual cycle. So it is the broken endometrium and the blood is come out, and that is called menstruation. And female does not permit copulation during menstrual phase of the cycle. So in this phase, in this menstrual cycle phase, the reproduction or the fermentation, we can say fertilization process or the fusion process is not involved. Now next is the estrous cycle. It occurs in the non-primates like cow, sheep, rat, deer, dog, tiger, etc. So my dear students, we have to distinguish the menstrual cycle which occurs in monkeys, apes and human beings, and estrous cycle that occurs in most of the herbivores, carnivores type of animals, that is cow, sheep, rat, deer, tiger. And it consists of short period of estrus or heat. It is 12 to 24 hours in cow, follow an anestrus or passive period, and blood does not flow in this cycle, and the broken endometrium is reabsorbed, and female permits copulation only during estrus period. So that is the biggest difference in the menstrual cycle and estrus period. Both in plants and animals, the hormones are responsible for the transition between different phases of the life, and interaction between hormones and environmental factors regulate the reproductive phases. So here the hormone regulation, environmental factors plays an important role to regulate the reproductive processes. So these are the two cycles, menstrual cycle and estrous. So as we have discussed, two phases. First is a juvenile phase and second is a reproductive phase, and third phase is senescent phase. So senescent phase, it is the end of the reproductive phase. Generally this type of phases are coming after the completion of reproductive phase, that is senescent phase. It is the end of the reproductive phase, and old age ultimately ends to the death. Generally after some age, we can say the old age, this type of phases are coming. So in that reproductive phase near to the ending step, so that is a we consider senescent phase. Now next we will discuss the events in sexual reproduction. Now events in the sexual reproduction mostly occurs in three phases: pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. So events in sexual reproduction occurs in three phases: pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. Now pre-fertilization, all the events prior to fusion of gametes are included in it, and it includes the gametogenesis and gamete transfer. So pre-fertilization includes two stages, in that we can say gametogenesis and gamete transfer. So that is a part of our pre-fertilization. So here you can see the gametogenesis is a process of formation of male and female gametes. So here the new gametes will develop, generate from male and female, and gametes are haploid cells, means two cells which may be similar or dissimilar in structure. In algae, both gametes are similar in structure, called homogametes or isogametes. Okay, homogametes or isogametes. In higher organism that reproduces sexually, two morphologically distinct gametes are formed, called heterogametes. And the male gametes are called anthrozoids or sperm, and female gametes are called ovum or eggs. So my dear students, remember that the male gametes in the heterogame, it's considered as anthrozoids or sperm, and female gametes can generally be called as a ovum or egg. So isogametes and heterogametes. So here first phase you can say isogametes means both are identical, heterogametes means both are some way different. So sperm and ovum both are different, and isogametes in fungi and plants. So here isogametes, that is structures are same, heterogametes structures are different. In fungi and plants, homothelic and homocoeous. So when we talk about in fungi and plants, homothelic or monocoeous terms are used to denote the bisexual conditions, and heterothelic or dioecious are referred for the unisexual condition. In flowering plants, the unisexual male flower is the staminate, means stamen, and bearing stamens, while the female it's pistillate or bearing pistil. So generally we know this when we talk about the plants, male reproductive part and a female reproductive part. Stamen is a male reproductive part and the female is a that is pistil or stigma is a female reproductive part. So in animals, species which possess both male and female reproductive organs in some individual are called bisexual or hermaphrodites. Earthworm, sponges, tapeworm, etc. and both having the either male or female reproductive organs are called unisexual, that is cockroach and humans. So gametes are always haploid, having half set of chromosome. Although organism may be haploid or diploid. So diploid organism form gametes by meiotic division. The organism belonging to algae, fungi and bryophytes have haploid plant body and pteridophytes. Gymnosperms, angiosperms and most of the animals are diploid, having double set of chromosomes. So my dear students, here two terminology which are very crucial for you, that is haploid and diploid. Haploid, that is have half set of chromosomes, and diploid having the double set of chromosomes. In diploid organisms, the gamete mother cell, that is myocyte, undergoes meiosis in which one set of chromosome is present in gametes. So myocyte, which is gamete mother cell, and in that one set of chromosome is present in the gametes. Now second we are discussing, that is gamete transfer. Generally gamete transfer, but we will speak in simple way, gamete transfer. So in a majority of organisms, male gametes are motile and female gametes are non-motile, except in fungi and algae, in which both gametes are motile. Remember that this is very crucial because when we talk about the fungi and algae, they are motile. Motile means moving. Okay, remember the motile indicate moving. In simple plants like algae, fungi, bryophytes and pteridophytes, water is the medium through which male and female gametes moves. The number of male gametes are much more than number of female gametes, as most of the male gametes fail to reach the female gametes. That is generally happening in the fertilization method, fertilization process. So in higher plant, pollen grains are carried of male gametes and ovule has eggs. Pollen grains must be transferred from from anther to the stigma to facilitate that is fertilization. So that already we know that. So how the pollen grains anther to stigma transfer, pollination method that is mentioned. The transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called pollination. And pollination may be, we know that is a cell pollination and cross pollination. Cell pollination anther to stigma of the same flower, and the cross pollination anther to stigma of a different flower. The pollen grains germinate on stigma to produce pollen tube that delivers the male gametes near the ovule. So here this is very interesting, this is very important. The pollen grains germinate on stigma to produce pollen tube that delivers the male gametes near to the ovule. So here pollen tube will be there. Now third step is a fertilization. The fusion of male and the female gamete generally we call as a fertilization or syngamy. It results in formation of diploid zygote. The zygote is a fusion of male gamete with the female gamete. Generally the process is fertilization, and the new process in that the fertilization after the male and female gamete fuse together, that form the zygote. The process of development of new organisms without fertilization of female gamete is called parthenogenesis. It is called parthenogenesis. For example, honeybee, rotifers and lizards having the parthenogenesis type of fertilization. Now difference between external fertilization and internal fertilization. So my dear students, so here when we discuss the external fertilization and internal fertilization, syngamy occurs outside the body of the organism. Larger numbers of gametes are released in the surrounding medium, and internal fertilization, it is inside. This syngamy occurs inside the body of the organism. Numbers of ova produced are less, but large number of male gametes are released and they travel towards the ovum. So external fertilization example we can take bonifacies and amphibians. Internal fertilization we can take example birds, mammals, most of the human beings, that is internal fertilization. So viviparous, oviparous type of processes are there. So now last, there is a post fertilization events. Events in the sexual reproduction after formation of zygote. So when the fertilization process occurs, then zygote formation done, that step is post fertilization events. Zygote is the vital link that ensures continuity of species between organisms of one generation and the next. Every sexual reproducing organism, including human beings, life as single cell, and that is zygote. In the organisms having the external fertilization, zygote is formed in external medium, that is water, and those having the internal fertilization is formed inside the body of the female. In algae and fungi, zygote develops a thick wall resistant to desiccation and damage. Means whatever type of external factors affect to this resistance, this thick wall is resistant to prevent that zygote, and this germinates after a period of rest. In organisms having the haploidic life cycle, zygote develops to form haploid spores that germinate to form haploid individuals. So here's also the haploidic life cycle in the zygote divides to form haploid spores, and that germinate to form haploid individuals, means separate individuals. So here the last step we'll discuss, and that is embryogenesis. The process of development of embryo. My dear students, this type of topics, if you want to learn in detail, there is one textbook, that is embryology, the branch of biology, embryology. In that we will see that how the embryo develop, what are the stages of development, and all the process. One textbook that you will see in that is embryology. In that all the detailed aspects are given about the embryo. During this, zygote undergoes mitotic division and cell differentiation. Cell division increase the number, and cell differentiation help in the formation of new group of cells and organisms. So here we have two type of animals, oviparous and viviparous. Oviparous, the development of zygote take place outside the body of the organisms and lay fertilized by unfertilized eggs. Viviparous, mostly inside, the development of zygote take place inside the body of organisms and produces young ones. So oviparous, reptiles and birds; viviparous, human, dog, different animals. So up to here, my dear students, we will discuss remaining things